Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar presentation by College Aid Pro on how to maximize financial aid and scholarships. So let's get ready and go ahead and get started here. Some housekeeping up front for everyone. Tonight's presentation, we're going to do a high-level view of how to maximize financial aid and scholarships. We'll give you a good overview of just how the financial aid system works so you understand it, and then also dig in on how to, to appeal for more financial aid if you have a class of 2025 grad. So if you have specific questions, again, this is going to be a high-level overview. If you have very specific questions, drop them in the Q&A, and whoever's not talking, we'll try to get to those questions for you in the Q&A. And then also, we want to offer all of the attendees a free 15-minute consult. And we'll put the link in the chat for you to schedule that consult. So again, this is going to be a high level view. And so if you have very specific questions unique to your family circumstances about whether or not it makes sense to appeal or so forth, we're going to offer everybody a 15-minute consult. And what we're going to do on that consult is just kind of assess your situation, give you a sense of whether or not you do have a good basis for appeal. And if you do have a good basis for appeal, give you some advice on the next steps. Okay. So again, if you have questions during the presentation, I drop them in the Q&A, and please, please, please take advantage of that free 15-minute consult so we can dig in with you. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started. If you don't know about us, College Aid Pro, our mission is to end the student debt crisis by empowering families to shop smarter for college. So we're deeply committed to this mission. We care deeply about helping families pay less for college. And so hopefully tonight will go a long way towards that. So we are your presenters. My name is Jason Slone. And just a little bit about me. I've been in higher education for over 20 years. I've been a college professor. I've taught at 4 different universities, including Dartmouth. I've also been a dean. I was a dean for 7 years. I always joke that I'm the former dean that spills the beans. But more importantly, I'm a parent of three. I have two in college right now, a junior and a first year, and then I got an eighth grader coming along as well. So I feel your pain on all this. So I've seen it from your side of the table as well. And my co-presenter tonight is Kevin Murphy. Kevin, you want to tell us a little about your background?
Yeah, hey everyone, thank you. Real quick, by the way, I also put the free console link in the chat. But yeah, I'm Kevin Murphy. I'm one of the college planning experts here at College Aid Pro. Been doing this forever, as long as I've had a job, and I really enjoy doing it. I love what I do, and yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you all are lucky to have Kevin on this call tonight. Take advantage of talking to one of us. If you get the chance to talk with Kevin, well, he's worked with over 1,000 families, something like that. And so absolutely fantastic college planning expert. So, okay, let's go ahead and jump right in here and get going. A lot of times families ask us, where do we start? And we always say, make sure you have at least a free MyCap account. If you don't have one, go set one up at mycap.collegeaidpro.com because our planning software, our technology is very powerful. It's very helpful. Has a lot of features on it. You can do instant net price calculators at every college in the United States, and ours, by and large, are more accurate than the ones on the financial aid websites of the colleges themselves. You can look at scholarships that you can get from different colleges. There's an instant EFC or student aid index, it's now called calculator. There's a private scholarship search function in there, search engine. You can get all kinds of guidance like on how to fill out the CSS profile and so forth and so on. So I'm sure top of mind for you right now is Appealing Financial Aid Awards. We're going to talk about that in the presentation. But the MyCap software is going to help you assess whether or not you have a decent basis to make an appeal. So make sure you have a MyCap account. If you don't have one, take a minute, set one up, and get yourself going. That would be very helpful for you. All right, let's get start here. Tonight's presentation, we're going to start with a high-level overview of financial aid, and then we'll dig into how to maximize financial aid, scholarships, grants, and so forth through the appeals process. So what is financial aid? Well, financial aid is really any discount to the sticker price, what we call the sticker price. That is the total cost of attendance for a school. Okay, and so the sticker price is how much they say it costs, but how much you actually cost is after financial aid is applied. Okay, so there's three kinds of financial aid. Two are great. One is just okay. The two that are great are need-based grants and merit-based scholarships. That is called gift aid because it's a gift of money to you and you don't have to pay it back. So it brings down the cost of college. So grants, if you see the word grant, that is based on your demonstrated financial need.
Hey
Okay.
Jason, we're on the same slide still.
I'm sorry.
You're on the same slide still.
Oh,
How to maximize financial aid and scholarships.
oh, strange. That's not what I'm seeing on my end here. Let's
Maybe
see.
it's just an issue with my Zoom.
Let's see. Let me sorry about this, folks. I'm seeing the correct slides here, so you see we're great at planning, college planning, maybe not at technology. I'm going to stop
Uh,
sharing and
I've got someone in the chat confirming that it hasn't changed for them.
really? Okay, let me see. Let me stop share and try a difference.
I was deep in the Q&A and I didn't even realize it.
That's so strange. Let's try this one.
Nice.
Is
Now this is like presenter view, so it has like notes and has all the other slides.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, friends.
Well, it's a good presentation without some technology hiccups.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Uh,
exist.
all right. Let me try this. Third time's a charm. No.
It's there. Yes, it's perfect.
Yay!
Woo.
Fantastic. Small victories. All right.
Yes.
Okay. As I was saying before, financial aid, there's need-based grants. So if you have demonstrated financial need, then you can be awarded grants, and that's free money. And the second type of gift aid, free money, is merit-based scholarships. That's free money based on the student's talent profile, grades and test scores, that kind of thing, independent of your financial need. But both of those are good because it brings down the cost of college. Now, the third type of financial aid is what's called self-help aid. Self-help aid is loans and work study. It doesn't bring the cost of college down, it just helps you pay the bill. Work study is exactly what it sounds like. It's a job. The college is going to offer your student a job. And loans, of course, you can use loans to pay the cost of college, but it doesn't bring the cost down. In fact, it increases the cost of college because of the interest involved. So it is not free money. Okay. So, of course, when you're appealing, which is what we're going to dig into tonight, you want to try to get as much grants and scholarships to bring the cost down. Okay. All right. Did that work? Are we on the discounts and action slide?
We are on types of financial aid, discounts, need-based grants, merit-based scholarships, self-help. We're good.
No, that's not it, right? Oh my goodness here. I am moving to the next slide. You don't see that, Kevin?
No,
Oh my gosh. We should maybe let you drive the slide deck. How about
I,
that?
I think I'm gonna have to.
Do you
Bear
have,
a second to get it open.
okay, what do you see in there?
We don't see anything.
You don't see anything. I promise we've done these before, friends. I'm not sure what's happening here tonight, but oh boy.
It's all good.
Do you want to? I should
Yeah,
probably,
yeah. Just give me a sec.
yeah, why don't you go ahead and take, I don't know what's going on with my machine tonight, but
Don't worry at all. Don't worry at all. Um,
so while Kevin's pulling up those slides, again, the point here is I just want to kind of give you a high level overview of the different kinds of financial aid, because as you're going to see, when you start getting financial aid award offer letters from colleges, it can be very, very confusing. And you're going to want to do a good, make it, analyze what they are offering you and be looking for whether or not it is gift aid or self-help aid, because the gift aid is what's going to bring the cost down. And the gift aid is in two forms: grants based on your financial need, and scholarships based on the merit profile, the talent profile of the student. Okay. And so that's what you're going to want to be looking for. The financial aid award offer letters will call loans, they will call that financial aid, but it's self-help aid. It doesn't bring the cost down. It just allows you to pay the bill and actually may increase the cost of college because of the interest involved, of course. So when you're going through the appeal process, what you're going to want to pay attention to is how much they've offered you in the grants, if any, and how much they've offered you in scholarships. And that's what we're going to try to appeal for. Okay.
all right. So
Yay, you rescued me.
is this the slide we left off on?
Yeah, we're going right to the next one. Okay. Okay, so how does this work in action? So the financial aid again serves as a discount off of the quote unquote sticker price. And the sticker price is the total estimated cost. And when we say total estimated cost of attendance or the sticker price, that's all in. That's tuition and fees, room, but that's also your housing, your room and board, your food, books, supplies, personal expenses, transportation, and so forth. Okay. So if you look at, we have two examples here from the state of Washington, a public Washington University and a private. If you look at the sticker price, it looks like the public is way cheaper, right? And your family's like, oh, we can't afford the private, but it may not work out that way after financial aid is applied. That's where we have to dig in. Okay. So as we're going to show you here in a second, how much financial aid you get offered, at least the grants, is in part determined by your student aid index number. That's the, or it's also known as the expected family contribution, which is how much, in the essence, how much they think you can afford per year based on the income and the assets you report on the financial aid forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So in this case, the student aid index for this family is $30,000. Okay. And so that's a financial need in the public case of 4,500 bucks and a financial need in the private case of 4,600 bucks and change. Okay. And so then in this particular hypothetical case, they offered a total amount of financial aid in the public school of 5,500 bucks and total financial aid of 39,500 in the private. But you have to dig in to figure out what exactly are they offering. Okay. So if you look at the public case, they're offering no scholarship and no grant, and in this case, no work study. So the only thing they're offering you is loans. All right. So your total cost of attendance is still going to be $34,554 because they're not giving you any gift aid at all. But in the private case, this family is being offered a $20,000 merit scholarship, free money, 12,685 in grants, free money, and then they're offering additional self-help. But the true cost, because you're getting that family is getting $32,685 in gift aid, the true cost is $40,000, which is in the ballpark of the public. So we tell you this for two reasons. One is don't always assume that these expensive private schools are you can't afford them, that they're so much more expensive, because if you can get gift aid from these schools, you might actually get the cost down to be competitive with other even publics. Okay. All right. So how do they determine if you have any financial need? Okay. In other words, will we be eligible? You're probably wondering, are we going to be eligible? Well, there's a formula they use. It's just math. They take the cost of attendance, again, whatever their sticker price is, and that's all in tuition, but also room and board, fees, books, travel, et cetera. Then they look at your student aid index, which is generated by the income and assets you report on the financial aid. Okay. And then the difference is the amount of need your aid, amount of financial aid your family is potentially eligible to receive. Very important word, potentially. Okay. So let's say a school costs $70,000. Your SAI is $30,000. You have need of $40,000. But that doesn't mean the school is going to give you $40,000 in grants. They might say, hey, we'll give you half of that, or we'll give you a third of that, and you have to come up the other half of the other third. Okay, so what you have to be very cognizant of in this process is the schools you're applying to, how much need do they meet? If they meet all of the need with grants, that's very good. If they don't meet most of the need with grants, then that's not as good, because you're going to end up, even though you have demonstrated need, the school doesn't meet your need, and so you're going to have to end up paying that. Okay. All right. So what do you need to know about your student aid index? I think there was a question in there about student aid
Yeah.
index. Well, yeah. So the way they generate this number, it's a number that's it's generated by what you put for your income, how much you make in income, and then how much you have in assets. Okay. And so the first question is what is considered an asset from financial aid perspective? It's basically anything you own of value that's not in your retirement account. So if it's in your retirement account, they don't look at it. 401k, IRA, Roth, 403b, that's not counted. Okay. But if it's sitting in a checking account or a savings account or a taxable brokerage account, something like that, you're supposed to report the value of those assets on the day you file your financial aid form. So if you file your forms on October 1st, whatever the balance is in those accounts, what you're supposed to report. We all, parents always want to know, but yeah, I have a lot of debt. Where do I put that on the form so they know how far I'm in debt? We don't have this much money. They actually don't ask that. But this is something you potentially can use as part of the appeal process. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. So debt's not considered on the SAI calculation up front, but it is something that you can maybe talk to them about on the back end if that's your case in your situation. Now, importantly, if a parent owns the asset, if it's in the parent's name, it's assessed at a different rate, a lower rate than if it's in the student name. Okay. So parent assets are generally assessed at 5.6%. In other words, if you have, $100,000 sitting in the bank, they're going to think about 5,600 of that can go towards college. And so that 5,600 would go towards your SAI calculation. Now, grandparents, so if you have that in a 529, for example, that would be counted as a parent asset. Okay, so if it's a parent owned 529 plan, which is a 529 is an education savings account, a savings account for college. If it's owned by the parent, 5.6%. If it's owned by a grandparent or it's for a different sibling or an uncle or somebody else, it is actually not assessed. Okay, they're only going to ask for the student and the parent. They don't ask for grandparents and your uncle and your aunt and your those kinds of things. So there's hint a planning opportunity for you there. If the grandparents are looking to help out as part of their estate plan, perhaps they want to give some money to the grandkids to help from college. Um, a good planning opportunity is for the grandparent to open and own the 529 plan rather than give it to the parents because then it won't be assessed on the 529. Now, if you have a trust in the student's name, like a UGMA or an UTMA, that is assessed as a student asset because the student is the owner of the trust. When they turn 18, they get access to that money. So the colleges think, hey, that's for college. Okay. And so student owned assets are assessed at 20%, 4 times more than a parent. Okay. Which leads to the last point here is if your student has like a savings account you set up for them at the bank or something like that, if it's only in the student's name, it's going to be assessed at 20%. But if it's jointly owned by you and your student, it's assessed at the parent rate. So that's another planning opportunity for you there. And last question about assets, we get this a lot about real estate. Do they look at the equity in our home? And the answer is maybe. As we're going to see, there's 2 different financial aid forms. Every college is going to require what's called the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. In addition, about 250 schools also ask for a second form called the CSS profile. The FAFSA does not ask for the home equity in your primary residence, but the CSS profile does. So that's one of the things you're going to want to pay attention to when you're building, when you're looking at your college list is do the schools on my list require the CSS profile or not? And if you have a lot of home equity, it could impact your SAI at the CSS profile schools. Now, if you own rental property, like investment property, condos or whatever, that will be asked on the FAFSA and counted as an asset. Okay, so on the FAFSA, primary residence, no, but any investment or rental property, yes, including land, those kinds of things. Okay. All right. So what about income? We've talked about assets. Well, the income is a little tricky. They use what's the tax year is that's used for the base income year is the prior year. Okay, what that means is, say you have a high school student right now who's a 12th grader, class of 2025. They're applying for everything right, right now. They're going to be going to college in the fall. You will have filed your applications in the fall of 24 using the tax returns from the prior year. So to clarify, if your kid goes to college in the class in the year of 2026, the income they're looking at is how much you earned in 2024. So if your kid's starting college in 2027, it's the income you earned in 2025. And they're just going to pull that from your tax returns. Okay, so they look at line 11 on the 1040, your adjusted gross income. So that's for the parents. They do look at student income if your kid has a job or something like that, but usually that doesn't move the needle because the students get an income allowance of up to $11,000. Okay, all right, next. So if you are a high income, high asset family and you think, why do I even file out FAFSA or CSS Pro? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to qualify for need-based aid. That doesn't mean you're not going to get any financial aid. You might not get need-based, but you can get merit aid. So you want to identify schools where your student might get merit scholarships. And by the way, a lot of schools were going to require the FAFSA and the CSS profile in order just the scholarship. So even if you're not going to get need-based aid, you still should file those forms because the school is probably going to require them for you to get merit aid. Okay, and to know if not a school is going to give you a scholarship or not, you can use your MyCap account. We've got that built into all the school profiles. And this is going to be a school by school basis. Some schools are way more generous than others. And there's some schools that don't give merit awards at all, no scholarships at all, including the Ivy Leagues and the NESCAC schools, the New England Small College schools up there, Mount Holyoke, Bowdoin, those kinds of schools, they don't give merit scholarships. So if you're a high SAI family and you're targeting those schools, there's a good chance you'll be full pay because the kid's not going to get a merit scholarship. Okay. And you also want to think about if you're going to apply to schools that do give merit scholarships, think about applying to competing colleges. Okay. So, like I went to the College of Worcester in Ohio, small liberal arts college. They're competing with like Kenyon College, Oberlin College, and Denison. And so if your kid is applying to Worcester, we would encourage you to think about applying to Kenyon, Denison, and Oberlin, because if those any of those three schools give you a great scholarship, you might be able to go to Worcester as part of the appeals process and say, hey, can you match that scholarship kind of thing. The other strategy, of course, is look for value schools. Okay. In other words, schools like the public Washington in the previous example that are at the lower end of the tuition range. Okay. And you might not get any financial aid from them, but the sticker price is already so low starting out, like a public university in your state, it ends up being a good net cost out of pocket. And here's another tip. Look at if your kid is a very smart, high achieving kid, good stats, they're targeting, high tier one kinds of schools. They might also want to look at public universities and their honors colleges. The honors colleges are often like um, uh, little small liberal arts colleges within universities. And a lot of times, those public honors colleges are not only a great educational experience, but they will give scholarships. So even if, the Ohio State University doesn't give you financial aid, if you get into their honors college, you might get a scholarship there. So there's some strategies if you are a high income, high asset family, not going to get need-based grants. All right.
All right. So let's let's switch to appeals now.
Yeah.
Let
Yep.
me stop sharing for a second and we'll transfer over here.
Yeah. So hopefully that's a good kind of overview of financial aid to set up strategies for appeal.
The basics of financial aid. It's important you understand the basics to do a good appeal. Um, just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. All right. So now we'll move on to appeals. Do you want to start or want me to?
It doesn't matter to me. Are you?
All right. So we have some really good questions in the chat, by the way, everyone. I just want to point out real quick that sometimes it's too much information or too detailed of a question for us to be able to answer on a presentation like this. Um, Meet with us. We'll tell you if you have the chance to appeal, right? If you have a good case, and advise on what the next steps are. But anyway, so we just went over the intro to financial aid. Now, when to appeal, who to appeal, should you appeal? There are reasons why you actually shouldn't appeal, and then how to appeal. So let's start off with when. When do you appeal? So at this point in the year, if you have a senior in school, you're receiving financial aid awards, probably acceptances. If your student hasn't received everything at this point, they probably will in the next week or so. Now, you're at a point in time where once you have all of those financial aid offers, you can appeal, right? So once you actually have the numbers from the colleges and you actually have the details, you absolutely can submit an appeal. And to be honest, it's advisable to do it as soon as you have all the information available because you need to hear back from the colleges by May 1st. And I know some of the schools, I believe Case Western and Villanova, their portals aren't completely ready yet. I know for sure Case Western, but their portals aren't completely ready yet, right? So they might not even have, an opportunity for you to submit an appeal yet. You might have to wait a week or two, but it's still worth trying at this point in time if you have all the information available. All right. Now, it's important that you understand your offer. And Jason spoke before about kind of what awards are comprised of and what is included in them. But there's going to be grants, right? If you qualify for need-based aid. Those should be from either the federal government, the state, or institutional funds, meaning money from the college. And to be eligible for grants and receive them, your student aid index matters, right? Your student aid index is what the colleges are going to use to determine how much you qualify for in grants. Now, in terms of scholarships, scholarships are always going to be based on your students' grades. Test scores, sometimes based on a portfolio or talent. And to keep that scholarship, you have to keep a certain GPA. Work study is going to be based on, financial need, and it's an opportunity to work. It's not free. And then there's loans. Loans would be the federal direct loan. And I've seen a lot of financial aid offers include the Parent Plus loan. That is not financial aid by any means. We will talk more about that on our loans presentation in the summer. But so we had a question in the chat earlier about USC. And typically speaking, from USC, we're primarily seeing need-based grants, right? So if you look here, here's a breakdown of cost of attendance, $97,000 a year. It's so expensive. tuition fees, other costs, so estimated expenses. And then here's what the family received, right? So federal work study, student loans, other loans, the Parent Plus loan. Again, a lot of colleges do that. And then the remaining amount, right? So itemized breakdowns and then the final cost. Now this here, this college is not including the indirect costs. So if you look here, they're actually separating out the direct costs from the indirect costs. So they're making it look like it's a little bit cheaper than it actually is going to cost. And you can see here that they're awarding this scholarship, but for the estimated net cost, it's the direct cost, right, minus grants and scholarships, which is free money. But these indirect expenses are not considered in that 40,000 number that you see, right? And then when you go even further down, that number is after loans. Okay. All right. Now, this is an award from Drexel University. So Drexel University, they're pretty generous with aid, right? So we see a Dean Scholarship, a grant, Pell, federal SEOG, which is another type of federal grants. So it's really important to understand, that some of the award is need, some of the award might be merit, and what all of this actually means. And, any of this need-based aid, right? Pell or SEOG or even the Drexel grant, that is largely based on your SAI, right? So if your income maybe was unusually low in a given year and it's going to be higher the next year, there's a chance that Pell might be reduced in future years. So again, just understanding how you got the money that's part of your award is very important. Okay, free money, merit, grants versus scholarships. Now, here's the second page of the Drexel Award, and here they are breaking the cost of attendance down, minus gift aid, and then the net cost. But they're also including work study, subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans. All of this money is not free, right? The first page we looked at was all free money. The money here has to either be worked for or paid back. So that's really important to keep in mind because this unsubsidized loan is paid back plus interest. The subsidized loan accrues interest after college is over, and work study, your student has to apply for a job, get it, and earn it, right? So there's a lot of contingencies, here with this section of the financial aid award. Now, we had a question too before in the Q&A about who should appeal, and I think it was a merit appeal, but for a merit aid appeal, right, who's that going to go to? That's going to go to the Office of Admissions. And for a merit appeal, really the student has to drive that, right? The student is the one who should be always in contact with the Office of Admissions. And in addition to that, they should be the one who's kind of explaining the circumstances and the reasons that they should get an increased scholarship. Now, a need-based appeal would be the Office of Financial Aid. And really with a need-based appeal, I think it's fair to say, and Jason, I don't know if you agree, really the parent can take the lead, the student can be involved, but when we're talking about money here, the Office of Financial Aid, right, they're going to expect to hear at some point from the parent, whether it's a change in income, circumstances, something. The student can absolutely be involved, and the student can express how much they want to go to the school and how good of a fit it is and all of those things. But from a need-based perspective, it's okay if the parent is the one who is leading the charge in a way here.
Yep, I agree.
And yeah, you can do both. I've done a lot of appeals where I've done both this year.
Yep, same.
Now, should you appeal? If you look here on the list, right? So if it's a private college, some schools you can actually just, try and, I don't want to use the word negotiate because colleges hate the word negotiate, but essentially negotiate for more money. But there's very certain schools that actually do that. An example, and we just saw this firsthand, was Sacred Heart sent an email to all families saying, let us know if you'd like us to reconsider your scholarship, and let us know 4 other competing offers. So that's absolutely a good candidate for an appeal. a retirement distribution, right? So if you have an IRA or a pension distribution that's one time, right, non-recurring, or even if it's recurring, that could be a really good case for an appeal. Divorced, separated, usually you've got some good reasons for an appeal there. Um, and then it's important to understand what methodology the college that you're appealing to uses, right? Because if they're using the federal methodology, maybe they're not considering home equity, maybe that's not part of the appeal, right? If they're using the institutional methodology, maybe they are considering home equity. Maybe there's other information on the CSS profile that that could be mentioned as part of the appeal. So you definitely want to know what methodology and what form the college is using when you're about to prepare your appeal. Business owners also have a good opportunity to appeal, right? There's usually something in some circumstance that could be reasoned. Um, Now, and thank you for clarifying that was Sacred Heart. I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 4, but it was 3. So thank you. Um, and a better offer from a competing college, kind of just as I've referenced with Sacred Heart, some colleges really do consider what other schools awarded, right? And lower net cost and a better scholarship, that is something that could encourage them to increase what they gave your family. Bad candidates for an appeal. So public colleges, they're really not flexible. So public colleges and university are really bad for an appeal, unless there's been a serious change in circumstances, right? So if your income drops so much that maybe you qualify for state aid or Pell, that's completely different. But from the perspective of just trying to get more money, public colleges are typically bad. No changes in your financial situation. So it's been the same as it was in the 2023 tax year for 2025 grads, and no one-time distributions from retirement accounts or other sources, right? So those are bad candidates for an appeal. A significant change in income is probably something that's just popped in the chat, is probably around 20-25% of a difference. But I don't think that it needs to be 20 or 25% to appeal, but that is what would probably be considered a significant change in income by the colleges. Now, it's important to understand your financial aid offer and evaluate it, right? So use our software in MyCap, and we'll go into that in a second for net cost projections. Understand what you should be getting from the colleges. Also, understand what your student aid index is, right? So make sure you know your student aid index, use our software. In MyCap, you'll see both your federal and institutional student aid indexes. Also, it's important to understand the cost of attendance, right? So how much is the university going to cost all in tuition fees, room board, books, personal expenses, because you are eligible for financial aid up to the sticker price, the COA. And understand how much financial aid you are eligible to receive, which is the difference between the student aid index and the cost of attendance. Okay. All right. So let me actually spend 1 minute going into my cap.
Trying to keep up on the questions. These are great. I'm getting so many great questions. We're up to 51 questions answered. I still have 6 to go. So these are great.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. So this is what your MyCap account would look like. And this is just a demo account. But you can see here, I said know your SAI. Make sure all the information in your profile lines up with what's on the FAFSA and the CSS profile. But this would be your federal SAI. This would be your institutional SAI. And of course, there's going to be a difference because they're different formulas. And then it's important to see, here with the sticker price of the college, and then what our projected first year net cost is. That's going to be really important that you know what we're expecting you to receive and what we're expecting the college to cost. You can upload financial aid awards here into Translate and Compare. Once you upload them, it'll break those numbers down for you. And then after that, you can actually go here to evaluate and appeal. And once you have awards uploaded in here, you'll actually see your appeal potential, right? So if we think you've got a good chance, a strong chance, no chance at appealing, that'll be in here as well. So make sure you spend time going into MyCap. And I'm actually going to put that chat for everyone to see and a link. So let me stop there. Let me go back to.
I can't keep up with the Q&A. I'm trying so hard.
Oh, it's not good.
It's great. These are great questions.
Do you want to take from here?
Sure. Let me send this. Last last answer.
Go ahead.
All right. So, should you rely on net price calculators to go to decide if a college is affordable for your family? Absolutely be careful. Okay. So, if you use the MyCap software, generally, and we're biased, of course, but it's generally going to be more accurate. And there's a couple of reasons why. If you use the net price calculator on the college's website, a lot of times it's either outdated, they just don't keep up with it, or they don't ask enough questions. It's very basic, and they don't ask enough questions to where the nuances and complexities of your particular family get captured by the net price calculator. So we always say be careful of that. Use MyCap instead, or use both of them. But one thing you can do is if you run a net price calculator for a school and it comes back that you qualify for a lot of aid, and then when you apply and they don't give you that much aid, you can always use that net price calculation against them, so to speak, in the appeal. So say, hey, take a screenshot and say, hey, look, I ran the NPC on your website and you said, I was supposed to get this much money. So that is one thing you can do. Okay. So these net price calculators, again, a lot of them, they're just very basic. They don't take into consideration the complexity of divorced families because if it's a FAFSA, only the custodial parent has to file, but if it's a CSS profile, both parents have to file, the custodial and the non-custodial. So it's sort of a junk in, junk out situation, garbage in, garbage out. If the wrong information is inputted there, it's going to spit out the wrong kind of thing. It's just not very nuanced. There have been a lot of changes in the FAFSA recently, and a lot of schools, believe it or not, a lot of schools have not kept up. They put a net price calculator there 5 years ago and just left it. And so that's another reason why. But again, if you get a good calculation, i.e., favorable to your financial aid picture, print it and save it, and you can use it as part of the appeal. Most common error we see in running net price calculations is that they don't break out the different types of assets. And so families will put in retirement assets as part of their overall assets, and that's going to artificially inflate how much it looks like they're going to charge you at that school. And a lot of schools don't even have any merit-based projections on their NPCs at all. It's just need-based only, and you might actually get a lower price at that school because your kid's going to get a merit scholarship that is not going to be generated by that net price calculator. So those are the reasons why we say be careful. So here's an example. Look how basic this is. This has. Do you plan to apply for? This is Gonzaga, by the way. Not to pick on Gonzaga, but they've earned it. So do
Yeah.
you plan to apply for financial aid? Yes or no? How old are you? Are you going to live on campus? And what state do you live in? Right? Those are the questions on the net price calculator for Gonzaga. Obviously, that they're not capturing enough information to give you an accurate net price calculator. So you're, going into Gonzaga, you probably, if you only did this instead of my cap, you wouldn't have a very good sense of how much it's actually going to cost at Gonzaga. Now, if you look at something like this one, this is a good example of a pretty good net price calculator, PLU, Pacific Lutheran University. Look at all the questions. They're going to ask state of residency, zip code, independent or not, where are you going to live, how many people in the household, GPA, test scores. By the way, quick note on test scores. This is my soapbox. A lot of schools have gone test optional for admissions, not for scholarships. And I have a whole rant about that. It's kind of a scam they're running. But if your kids are going to try to get a scholarship, the test scores will matter. So try to have them get as high a score as possible. They're asking about parents' marital status, how many working parents in the household. If you go to the next slide, I think we got even more questions, right? There's a whole bunch more of the questions. And look down at the very bottom of this PLU. It's to ask to get a really good net price calculation for PLU. They're telling you they're going to ask for the full family and financial data about 70 questions. So that's a pretty good indicator that the net price calculator is probably going to be fairly accurate in contrast to one like Gonzaga where it asks you, 4 questions. Okay, so we just advise families, the MyCap software is much more accurate, much more powerful, much better. So, okay, now how do we appeal? Okay, what's the process? Okay, so high level view, you apply for financial aid by submitting the FAFSA CSS profile, you put your income and assets on there. But there are other things that those forms don't capture. So the appeal process is your opportunity to tell your story. Okay, so you're going to explain oftentimes in a letter this, we can't afford this amount because of X, Y, Z reasons. Okay. Um, and a lot of times it might help to make a specific ask. So if you're just making a generic kind of, we can't afford this, please give us more, that might not be very effective because um, they're not sure how much to give you. But if you can be specific about numbers and so forth, we've got these debts or we've got this change in income at this dollar amount and so forth, then that gives them a better sense of realistically how much you can afford. It might be more successful. Always have your documentation ready because if you make a claim, they might say, show us. So if you say, hey, in 2023, we made this, but in 2024, we had a loss in income, they might say, show us your W-2s or show us your tax returns. So have all your documentation ready. Again, as Kevin mentioned earlier, the student and the parent really should be involved. The student should be contacting the school, especially if it's a merit-based appeal. Contact the Office of Admissions and say, "Hey, I love the school. It's my dream school, et cetera, but I'm appealing this merit offer for these reasons." And then the parent can be involved in the Office of Financial Aid need-based appeal. The parent can say, "Here's more information about our financial circumstances." Okay, but if both are involved, that's more powerful. Every college has their own process. Make sure you follow their process. Pay attention to their deadlines, what forms they want, if they want a wet signature, all these kinds of. Sometimes schools make it difficult to appeal on purpose. So you really want to pay attention to exactly what they're asking you to do and follow those details. You don't want to give them any reason to deny your appeal. Okay. Be persistent. Demonstrate interest. I think Kevin mentioned earlier, you want to tell them that, this is a love letter in a way. Like, this is my dream school. I want to go here. Boy, if you could give us more aid, I would be so excited to be able to afford to go there. Um, and even if they come back and they offer you a little bit, but not enough or something, you might want to go back a second time and say, "Hey, I really, really, really want to go here. Is there anything more you can do?" And some parents are like, "I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be pushy." But this is just a natural part of the process. And so if you're persistent and polite and professional, you don't want to be, of course, tone matters, but you can be persistent in a way that's can be a positive thing because you're demonstrating interest. And of course, appeal to the right place. Again, merit-based appeals go to the admissions office, ideally to the person, excuse me, the person, the counselor that's been assigned to your case that you've been communicating with. And need-based appeals go to the Office of Financial Aid. Usually that involves the parents. Okay. So that's sort of the basic process. Again, but every school is going to have a different uh, process that you want to follow. So, okay. So what are some strong bases for need-based appeal? Well, the market value of your home or your home equity. This is a big mistake parents make as they artificially inflate how much their home is actually worth, or how much home equity, and they forget to, subtract the mortgage about. So, if you make any kind of mistakes around the home equity, that could be a reason to make a need-based appeal. If you've had a change in your financial circumstances, you've lost your job, or if you own a business and 2023 was a banner year and you just hit a home run, but 24 and 25 and 26 aren't going to be that good. Um, or you've had some unusual expenses or something like that, or 2023. I had a family I was working with last week. They sold a home in 2023 and the proceeds hit their 2023 tax returns. And it looked like they made about 500,000 when in reality they made around 100,000. So um, something like that, one-time events. Changes in marital status, of course, right? If you've gotten separated, you're separated and living apart, have gotten divorced or remarried, any kind of changes to marital status can be a need-based appeal. If there are medical issues and expenses, out-of-pocket medical, dental expenses, this can be a one-time event. You had this big event, this surgery, and you had time off work, lost income, or it could be ongoing and chronic, right? Like this is treatment that's going to be ongoing, something like that could be a basis for an appeal. If you're a business owner, again, you can often make a case for a need-based appeal here because, you know, any business owner will tell you it's really, things change fast for business owners. I have a family I'm working with. They own an architectural design firm and they have no long-term contracts. They just work month by month contracts. And so their income, their revenue goes like this all the time. Again, one-time events. I think I mentioned that you sold a home or you inherited some money, or on the other side of it, you had a major expense or something like that. Then you had to take on debt to pay for that major expense. I've had families where A hurricane came through and destroyed their home, and the home insurance didn't cover it, and they had to get a mortgage or something like that to pay for costs, or they had to drain their savings account to pay for a new roof and windows or things like that, mold remediation, those kinds of events. So basically, any strain on cash flow that's not reported on the financial aid forms is generally a possibility for a need-based appeal. And again, here's where we again encourage you to take advantage of our that 15-minute consult. Like just talk to us, give us, for 15 minutes, jump on a call with us and tell us what's going on in your situation. We'll advise you. We'll be like, yeah, that's a good basis for appeal. That you should do it. And or we'll be like, yeah, that's probably not going to work for you. So take advantage of that consult.
I think we're very good. I'd like to say at being able to judge the likelihood of an appeal being successful. And we'll give you our honest opinion and honest feedback if we think you have a chance. It's even if it's worth your own time, or if we can help you. So definitely take advantage of it, like Jason said. Sorry for jumping in there. We're getting really
That's
great
good.
in the Q&A, everyone. Like really great questions in the Q&A.
Yeah,
It is tough to keep up. We're
I
at,
know. I was trying. It was like
my
rapid
God,
fire. I was trying to keep up.
we're at
All right,
7-6 already tonight.
that's awesome. All right, next slide.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so here's a couple of examples of families we've worked with before appeal. Occidental College. If you look down there, they were offered, it's like they were offered a scholarship of $12,500 and a grant of 21,787. But this family had significant home equity, and so there were complicated reasons why we argued that the home equity should not be assessed as part of the expected family calculation. Did an appeal, got the home equity removed from the calculation. And what happened after the appeal?
Drum roll.
Drum roll.
Before,
Before the appeal, they had been offered 38 or $34,000.
after.
After the appeal, by getting the home equity removed, they got an additional huge amount of the grant. And again, grants need based. Okay. Additional $28,000 ballpark of additional aid. That's over $100,000 in savings over 4 years. So that's the power of an appeal, a successful appeal. Okay. Here's one from BU. Okay. Their initial offer was basically nothing. They got offered $3,500 of loan, self-help aid. Congratulations, you've been offered self-help aid. It's
Been
like,
offered
hey,
a loan.
yeah,
Congrats.
you've earned it alone. Congratulations. Yeah. Okay. And so $90,000 ballpark to go to BU. My goodness, how are we going to afford this? So did an appeal for the family and drum roll. After the appeal, they were offered $28,800 in scholarship.
We just got asked a question about do you appeal more than once? And just in this specific example, the first appeal they got offered 28. The second appeal was the 15-9.
Yeah, another 15,900. So great timing on the question.
It was really
Appealed
good.
twice. First one, they said, okay, here's 28 in need-based scholarship. And next one, we went back and said, we need more. And they said, okay, here's 15,900. A total of 44,700 in gift aid after 2 rounds of appeals, which again, it's $180,000 in savings.
And you know what's interesting too is BU and NYU and certain schools actually promise to keep the award the same for all 4 years. It's interesting because like this appeal, it truly is, right? Guaranteed an extra essentially $180,000 that this family received based on the appeals that we had to. So
Yeah,
really, really good outcome.
yeah, we love it. Okay, so here's a case study where, some schools say if you have unique circumstances, tell us about those. Okay, this family had income in 2023 of about $90,000, but they had a ton of non-retirement assets, 1.5 million. So like, oh, we have too much, we don't get any. But their income dropped significantly from 2023 to 2024, cut in half because sadly the husband became permanently disabled and couldn't return back to work. So we appealed based on two things, the drop in income and the fact that the non-retirement assets needed to be used to support him for the rest of his life. And it was successful. The original award was 38,000, or excuse me, 33,379. After the appeal, got an additional 22,259 need-based grant. So assuming that stays there for all 4 years, again, almost $100,000 in savings off the cost of college. All right, and here's a merit-based aid appeal. Got this case, the family had no merit aid offered from Syracuse. went back and said, hey, can we reevaluate this? I have this great academic record. I got all this leadership experience, done all this extracurricular work and community service. I'm just an outstanding student. And oh, by the way, these other schools offer me a merit scholarship. And based on my research, I was surprised. I was expecting to receive, excuse me, a merit award of X based on what they knew from their MyCap account. And sure enough, it was successful. The result, they got $5,000 scholarship. And over 4 years, that's $20,000 of savings, right? So this is the other thing I tell families. A lot of times families are like, 5 grand, it's not really worth it, is it? I'm like, well, oh, yeah, if they get it all 4 years, that's $20,000. I mean, that is a lot of money. So, all
Yeah.
right.
I think
So
it also just shows the power of my cat, like how knowing what you should expect from the college and understanding what they have to offer can really change the outcome and allow you to be more educated in terms of what you're appealing for and what you're asking for.
yeah, that's one of my favorite things I love about MyCap is it allows you to, it allows the system is an advocate for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
We're
right.
literally trying to help families save money on college. Like that is
That's a, yeah,
um
it's a great feeling actually.
it is. Um this is you want to go over our
Oh yeah. So this is a partial list of successful appeals we've already had this year for current class of 2020. And we're early in the process because a lot of schools haven't even given out their financial aid award letters. So April is going to be the big month for appeals, but we've already been very successful. A lot of schools, you probably recognize a lot of names on this list: Barnard, BU, Babson, Tufts, Providence, BC, Northwestern, Syracuse. I mean, look at BU. We had a case where we got a family an extra $45,000 in gift aid. That's again, if you over
kids in.
4 years, yeah, $180,000 we mentioned there. Tufts, $50,000, almost $50,000 from Tufts for one family. That's $200,000 off the cost of college. But then a lot of these, even those that are $5,000 or $10,000, those add up. I mean, again, that's 20,000, $5,000 of extra gift aids, 20 grand over 4 years. And so we're getting going here for the class of 2025 clients. And it's actually one of my favorite parts of our job is the appeals,
It's
seeing how successful.
yeah. 1.2 million, I think we're at for the class of, or just about for the class of 2025.
Yeah,
1.17.
1.157. Yeah, 1.157 million in successful appeal money for families. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so this is probably, wouldn't you say you get this question a lot? Like
All the time.
it's so common. If we submit an appeal, will they tell my student they can't go there anymore? No, it will never hurt the offer of admission. It's literally just it's like you have different steps in this process. We're getting towards the end of the process, but this is just another one of the steps that you really should consider doing, right? But I mean, as long as you have a reason to appeal, you absolutely should not skip this step.
Yeah. And also I got this question there. Will they revoke or retract the original offer?
Mm.
And the answer is no, they're not going to do that. They're not going to say, "Oh, now you get nothing." They're just in the worst cases they would deny the appeal and say, "No, our offer is our offer." So,
Yeah. So why don't we want to switch to Q&A for a little bit?
sure, let's do that.
Okay. We have 6 minutes left.
6 minutes left. All right. So, oh my gosh, we have 40 questions there. If we don't get to your question, we have to stop here at 8 o'clock. If we don't get to your question, again, you do have the opportunity to take advantage of that free 15-minute consult. Jump on a call with us and we'll answer your question in the consult.
Let's schedule that now, right? It's March 25th and commitment day is May 1st. So if you're looking for our help with appeals, you want to understand if you qualify for one or not, schedule the consultation now because by the time we meet, by the time we talk and you actually know if you can appeal, May 1st is right here. All right. So super important.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take the first one. We have triplets. Can we use that to lower the cost of attendance? We'll have 3 kids in college at once. The answer is yes, probably. Depends on the school, but a lot of schools will offer you a sibling discount. It all depends on the school. And it could be for 2 kids at once. They don't have to be triplets. If you have one's a junior, one's a freshman, hint, hint, like me, some schools will give you a sibling discount even if they don't go to the same school.
Yeah.
All right. Son's preferred college, Utah, informed us the deadline to receive merit money was 2/1. So only early applicants receive merit money because it's be true or to appeal and get merit. So if you've missed the deadline for merit aid, what's your advice on that, Kevin? Can you appeal?
I if you miss the deadline to receive merit, it's going to be extremely difficult. It's worth fighting for, but unfortunately, I've seen it a few times, and it is extremely difficult to get the college to reconsider. That's why we talked about this early on. Deadlines are paramount, right? Don't miss deadlines. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
If our assets decrease and we reapply for financial aid, will we be given higher loans or offered more grants, or is it impossible to know? It's impossible to know with certainty, but you can project it in the MyCap software for sure.
good point.
All right. Do we submit a competing merit-based award, try to get more merit aid from preferred school to admissions or financial aid? A merit-based appeal goes to the Office of Admissions for merit-based appeals. If we mistakenly included retirement information, can we change now? That would be a good basis for appeal.
A really good base. Any mistake is a really good basis for an appeal. Um, yeah, really good.
Yeah. Okay, would it be helpful to leverage parent plus loan obligations for other siblings on the basis of appealing for more grant? Would it be helpful to leverage parent plus loan for appeal grant more? In other words, if you've taken out parent plus loan, possibly, we'd have to know more about the overall situation on this question. Again, this is one of those probably would make sense to jump on a 15-minute consult to see um, the total picture. If it's just that you have loans, I'm not sure that would be successful, but if it's these, if there's lots of other things going on too, possibly. All right, you want to take any, Kevin?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go from the bottom. Is Connecticut College responsive to appeals? Depends on the reason. From a merit perspective, I've seen less success, but I have seen success from a need-based perspective. They do meet a lot of demonstrated need. Um, any successful appeals to Parsons or New School? Yes, I've been successful appealing to those schools. I'm pretty sure it's fair to say a lot of us have. And plus, that's a really good reason, right? Two incomes that changed in 2025, really, really good reason. Um, can I provide an example of successful merit appeal letter? Not, not necessarily on this presentation, but I'll give you a link to book more and learn more. Um, how likely to get more merit aid from Denver University? Um, it's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for. Um, do we do the appeals like ourselves if you hire us, or do we tell you what to do? We help a lot in the background, but we don't communicate directly with the college, but we do most of the work behind the scenes for you. All right. Any thoughts on a merit appeal for Bentley if show the difference in merit aid from Brandeis? That could be a good strategy. Both of us, Jason and myself, are working on Bentley appeals right now, so I think it's fair to say that's a good strategy. All right. What's the experience with Elon appeals? Got offered a $5,500 loan. I've been successful appealing to like, it always makes you laugh when I've been successful appealing to Elon. They are a school that gives merit scholarships. They're also a school that gives need-based aid. So I think you have a decent chance appealing there. How do you find out your school's process for an appeal? Check the website, call them. Gift aid, are we doing okay in time? A few more minutes. Gift aid,
Yeah.
always for 4 years. Typically speaking, merit aid is for 4 years. Need-based grants, if your income or assets significantly change one way or the other, they could fluctuate. And you can appeal in additional years if things change. Or if things don't change and for some reason the award changes, you can appeal as well. How relevant is the merit award from one school compared to another? Depends on the school. Sacred Heart was a great example of a school that you can do that. A school like Boston University or Boston College, not a great example of a school that you can do that at. So really, really, really depends. But I think it's always important to reference and think about financially better decisions for your family, financially smarter decisions. But it's just positioning in the schools, it changes. Want to take a few? We have like another minute or two.
Sure. Let's see here. Any advice for federal employees concerned about sudden job loss? Yeah, that would be a basis for appeal if you do in fact have a job loss. Any job loss, whether you're federal or private sector employee, will be a good basis for appeal. Okay, what about merit-based appeal for a kid with disability, medical bills, etc.? Um, possibly would, is that a good base for merit-based appeal? It depends on the school, depends on the program, but certainly that could go into need-based appeal. Medical bills and out-of-pocket medical expenses ongoing um, could be a good basis for need-based appeal. Let's see. We're getting specifics here, like San Diego State. Is it worth merit-based appeal there for higher offers? Again, possibly, maybe worth a shot. Same UC Santa Cruz, responsive to appeals. Drexel, again, worth a shot. Um, Vassar, yeah, Vassar can be successful at Vassar, worth a shot. Syracuse, yep, absolutely. They were on our list of success. We've already had some success with them this year, worth a shot. Uh, three schools. Let's see. There's a question about MyCap. That's a tech question. You want to put in a tech help desk question about MyCap software. Is income not being able to support a college loan or HELOC a reason to appeal? Possibly. It depends on what else is going on in terms of the overall financial picture of the family. What about high real estate taxes as need-based? Again, possibly. It would depend on lots of other things. Well, probably just that alone probably wouldn't move the needle because everybody has to pay taxes, but and there are high cost of living areas. But if there are other things going on, you might could add that to the list of things. Is it, yeah, same thing. Is it worth mentioning significant debt? Yeah, that's definitely something you would want to talk about. Sending an appeal letter should be addressed to regional admissions rep or director of admissions. Um, if you are doing a merit-based appeal to the Office of Admissions, you can either send it to the counselor who's assigned to your case. So a lot of schools will have like, students with last name A through F have this counselor, or students in these states have this counselor. And or the person that's been communicating with you. When you got your letter of admission and your offer of the initial merit, it's usually come from a person. And that's the person I would send it to. Whew. All right, how about one or two more here? We're
Yeah,
actually past time.
I know.
Is it worth noting to the Office of Financial Aid if you do not receive competitive merit awards, they understand the full picture? Depends on the school and the strategy. Whoever asked that question, that's a good free consult kind of a question to take a deeper dive. All right. How about one more? I'm running out of gas.
Well,
So
real quick, hold on. While we're answering this
yeah,
question,
sorry.
but no, but real quick, we both have to go actually. But I'm going to put one last time the link to schedule a meeting. Schedule it now, right? If you have these questions and we didn't get to your question, meet with us.
Yeah.
You have a good chance at appealing and how we can help. I just dropped it in there once more. But
Yeah, and as Kevin said early, try to get on the calendar as quickly as possible because you're down to the wire here. And if you're going to do appeals, if you have to do a base for appeal, it could take several weeks back and forth, and that can get you into the end of April. You could run out of time, so you don't want to wait. And "Oh, I'm not sure if I want to do this or not." Like you want to act fast. So if you do decide to appeal, if you have a good base for appeal, you have time to do it.
yeah, you want to know if you can appeal, and then you basically want to have everything queued up, ready to go. And then as soon as you get the offer or the appeal portal open, submit everything. It's really
Yeah, yeah.
good to get started.
Whew. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Hopefully that was helpful. And thanks to Kevin for throwing me a lifeline on the technology, the PowerPoint slide. I still don't know any idea what was happening there. And thanks to all of you for your great questions. Like we said, take advantage of the 15-minute consult. We'll give you an assessment of whether or not you have a basis for appeal. And if so, next steps on how to do it.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and thanks for putting up the tech issues. But I hope everyone
Yeah.
has a good night and thank you.
See
Bye.
you.